Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Death Rattle podcast. It is Wednesday. How are you guys doing? I am alone on this Wednesday. DJ has prior obligations he has to do, so it's just going to be me and you guys. So I'm definitely going to be leaning on you guys quite a bit to help me get through this and make it fun on top of that. So what's up, Ralph and Simple Dude? How are you guys doing? Wait for you guys to kind of get in here. But so we've had quite a bit of news this week. But the main thing on my mind is the lackluster horror movies from this past week. Like, really, the movies I saw, I went and saw Hell of a Summer. I went and saw Drop, and then I also saw one other one I'm spacing on. I feel like I saw one other one. Maybe not. But Hell of a Summer and Drop were both just kind of They weren't bad or anything, but it just kind of feels like we had a string of some really good ones coming out for a while there, and then now the last week or so they've been a little bit because like Drop, it's not bad, it's an entertaining movie, it's fun enough, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't have anything that really made it special, made it a standout by any means. And then my main issue with it is it had so many moments that were just kind of stupid, just like where you're questioning the logic of the filmmakers and the script writers. I just kept raising my hands being like, really? That's what you're going to do here? But I mean, it's not bad by any means. It's intense and, it's exciting, that kind of thing. I think most people will still enjoy it, but it's one that is not a, rush out to a theater and see. And then I felt like Hell of a Summer was just much more of a comedy than it really was a horror movie. So, but let's see who we got here. We got one Mr. Jim, Simple Dude, Ender 1978, KC11, Joe Begret, Nightingale Widow, Jack Doobie, what is that? Mok Hun Chong. How are you guys all doing? It's great to see you. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday. But what do you guys want to talk about? What is going on with your lives? What has happened in the last week for you guys? Definitely down for any Q&A we can get going and stuff as well. But I'm trying to, like, there was the trailer for the new Predator animated series, which I thought looks like it has definite potential. It's really cool to see them making an animated show that's adult, that doesn't feel like a little kid's cartoon, but it also doesn't feel exactly like anime or like it's trying to just rip off anime either. It felt like its own thing. And I think Predator is one of those franchises that you could really do some cool stuff in that direction. So, but yeah, can you guys hear me and see me okay? Everything copacetic on your end? What up, you heathen pirate? Hey, Seja and Clever Cleaver. How are you guys doing? Vancouver, what's up? The Hairless Chimp, how are you doing? All right, good. Sounds good. Yeah, I loved the monkey. Ender says, I saw the monkey was not nearly as terrible as DJ made it sound. That is the case with a lot of movies. I love DJ. He's the man, and he's definitely entitled to his opinions, but he is a little bit more negative on most movies than most people. But that's fine. I mean, I give him a hard time about it all the time, but like, to be honest, it's like, that's just how we're wired. Like, some of us tend to enjoy, find the fun and the enjoyment in most movies. And then, some of us are a little more, I don't know, like critical is a good way of putting it. I guess you just, critical of the flaws and the things in it that you don't necessarily think are amazing. Let's see. Nightingale Widow says, I watched Opus recently. Crazy cult movie. Yeah. Opus was such a weird one for me because there's definitely things I really liked about it. But then at the same time, there was definitely stuff that I was just not thrilled by. And like, it just tonally was such a weird movie. It's like it's hard to figure out exactly the tone of what they were going for. Because on one hand, it feels very silly and very campy and cheesy. But then on the other hand, they were actually trying to maybe have a statement or make a point or do something, like, I don't know, like there's meaning to it. And just a very strange movie. One that I think is worth watching, but just an odd one that I feel like I liked it as much as I disliked it. What's up, Pretty One? See, Jack Doobie says, I was watching Ash versus Evil Dead last night, and we were saying they should do a 4th animated season. That way they could still get Bruce involved. I know. I think that would be cool. And there has been rumors that they've talked about doing something like that. And, there's been a lot of questions on what exactly, because Bruce is hinted at it a few times, things like that he could still voice his character regardless of how old he is. And so some people think that might maybe be more of a video game idea or an animated series. I would like an animated series. I unfortunately can't play games a lot because of these stupid hands, but I would definitely check out an animated series. I think there's so much that could be done with that because the sky's the limit. It's animation. Pretty One says it's like Blumhouse is family friendly. Some of their stuff, but that's why I really liked Woman in the Yard, because it finally felt like Blumhouse was going back to doing something more serious, a little more artsy, not as mainstream, not as fast food horror as they have been doing. But and it's like one of those things where I'm okay if they want to do things cheesy and stuff like the new Megan 2, the way that looks. Like, it looks ridiculous. It's not taking anything serious at all. And I'm fine with that. It's kind of like with A24. I'm fine if they want to do a Death of a Unicorn movie that's serious or not serious and not all super artsy and more of just a mainstream kind of movie. That's fine if you need to do movies like that to make some money and whatever, as long as you don't stop also making and releasing independent movies from young filmmakers and helping to push the genre, because that's what we need those companies doing. And if they have to make some other movies, more mainstream stuff to pay the bills, that's fine. But I mean, Neon has shown that you can kind of do both. Like, they made a bunch of money from last year from Longlegs, and then they did decent on Immaculate, or like made well over their budget on Immaculate, and like basically all their movies last year, they made plenty of money on them because they just don't spend that much to make them, and they just made good movies. But there's a lot of things that are changing in the film industry, and so it's just kind of, a wait and see. Like, what exactly is going to happen. How are um, people going to adjust? How are the film companies, the theaters, like how are things going to adjust to all of that? C just says, I'm at work, and funny enough, I work at a courthouse, but I take my break when Kanan is live. Nice. Good timing. Vancouver says, I watched The Dark on Tubi and was blown away. I think I've seen that one. There's just so many movies with names like that, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that one. Is that the one where the little girl is basically dead and she's kind of like a ghost? Slow burn, like really, really good movie if it's the one I'm thinking of. Let's see. Jedi John says, how often do you change your background decor? When I feel like it. Sometimes it'll be there for like 6 months, or so. I always change it for sure. Like in the summertime, I'll do something that feels a little more summery, maybe break out some of my Jaws things or something like that sometimes. But no matter what, I always change it for Halloween, and I always change it for Christmas. Like those are the two that always I change it no matter what. But then I'll change little things from time to time, and it just kind of depends on what I'm feeling. Like I recently put up the Pearl poster. I took down the Black Phone one, but I'm feeling like I want to make some switch up some things here before too long. It just kind of comes down to when I'm feeling the itch for whatever reason to do that. I cannot pronounce his name. Soft Buns. Thoughts on Sinners coming out next week. Supposed to be a vampire flick. I think it looks really well made, and I think it's going to be a cool movie. But it really frustrates me because I think, sorry, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. I think that they just showed way too much in the trailer. And it's a bummer because it's one of those movies that I feel like he could have got away with showing quite a bit less and left some kind of mystery to it. But now they've basically just come out and been like, yeah, it's basically a vampire movie. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I understand with marketing, you got to show a certain amount to get butts in seats, but it's frustrating, especially as a horror fan, where I know I'm going to go see stuff regardless, like most of you guys. Like, we don't need to see a full trailer. We don't need to see a whole bunch of stuff to get us to go, but they need more than that. Unfortunately, the hardcore fans of the genre don't quite go enough to make their money back, especially on movies like this. That's a little bit more that mid-budget level. Like they need this to make like, 100 million in theaters sort of thing. It's not one that can just make 15, 20 total and be fine. Like I was talking about Immaculate earlier with Neon. It's like Neon will spend between 1 and 5 million on a movie. And then if they make 20, 30 million, that's a lot of money for a company like that. But for something like this, I forget who puts that out. Is it Warner that's putting out Sinners? Either way, it's a bigger studio, and it's even just the cast alone. Like this is probably more between 20 and 40 million dollar budget. I haven't looked, but I'm guessing it's along the lines of that. And so they got to make 3 times that. So basically, whatever you see the number of the budget, you got to make 3 times that to basically make any money on it, any profit at all. And so it's like they got to make basically 120 just to basically break even, start making money. So it's a tough one. And so they give away more than they should in the trailers because it's kind of out of fear, unless they see a buzz going on. That's why it's so important to go viral these days, because it's free marketing. It's how Smile, that's how that movie just exploded. Same with Long Legs. Like those movies didn't spend a bunch of money to promote them. They just went viral. They had good marketing and they used what so many of these companies don't understand yet, and that's social media. What's up, Wolfbane? Mary Bravo. Mary Bravo says, Ghost Pirate, I love your videos. God bless my loving pirate. I'm look up the dead or the dark on Tubi. Yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's a good movie. Gaston says, I saw 3 episodes of a TV series called Sharp Objects. So far, it's dark, interesting story. Never even heard of that. Nice. I'll have to look at and see what that is. All right, Vancouver confirmed. The Dark is the movie I was thinking of. Sija says, Sija says, Kanan, are there any new releases coming up in the future that you are looking forward to? I mostly just kind of look week to week. And unfortunately, this week, the only thing that is out besides other, the only horror type of movie that's out is Drop. And I saw it the other day, and it's not a bad movie by any means. And if you're someone that just wants to go to see a new thriller horror movie kind of thing, then it's worth seeing. It's fine. It just, to me, the script and the dialogue just held it back. There's too much about it that just didn't. I saw a couple people saying that you just got to suspend disbelief and you'll have fun with it. And for whatever reason, it's one that I just couldn't suspend my disbelief to that point. Like, there was just so many things that it did throughout the whole movie, but especially towards the end, that just made me, like I said, throw my hands up, just frustrated. Like, what are you doing? Like, people don't say things like that. People don't do things like that. That's not logical. That doesn't make any sense at all. And it's a fairly logic-based movie. Like, it's meant to feel, for the most part, grounded, like a reality that we could actually live in. So, I don't know. Nine Gale Widow says, has anyone on here watched 825 Forest Road on Shudder? Man, there are so many of you guys that have been wanting me to watch that movie. I tried to watch it the other day, and the acting is so bad. I only made it maybe 15 minutes into it or so, and was just like, man, I just can't watch this. So I'm going to have to give it another shot, though, because like just way too many of you guys are telling me it's really good. And so all I can think is that there must be something that I just got to get past. And once I'm past that, that section of the movie, that something's going to happen and it's going to get good, because you guys are raving about it. And from what I saw, I'm just baffled because it doesn't at all look like a movie that I would recommend. But like I said, I got to give it another chance. Hi from Panama. M. Domingo says, hi from Panama. Hello to you, Panama. Did any of you get to check out Screamboat? Only played here for a weekend and then it was gone. Yeah, it only played 3 days last week. That's the other one I saw last week, was Screamboat. And I thought it was really fun. It's one of those movies that you have to keep in mind. It's a micro budget movie. It is sloppy. The acting isn't that great. It's, you got to kind of grade it on a curve sort of thing. Like, you got to know what you're going in for. It's made by the same people that did Stream, and a lot of the same people that do the Terrifier movies. And it's nowhere near as gory or as good as the Terrifier movies. So don't mistake it for that. But like, if you liked Stream last summer, and you liked the campy kind of movies, it is one of the ones that's doing like what Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is doing with all these different, royalty-free characters. It does the whole Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie thing is what the idea behind it is. But they did something that none of those do, and that is they were self-aware. They know that this is a stupid, fun, silly premise, and they lean into that. David Howard Thornton, the guy that plays Art the Clown, he is, who plays the Mickey character in this, and he's dressed in this hideous costume. It's one of the only real problems I had with the movie for the most part. I just don't like the way the costume looks. I feel like you could have had something that looked a little more like Mickey and it would have played just a little bit better. But it's fun because he's basically a mouse. He's like this little tiny dude running around. I mean, he's not quite that little, but he's like this big, running around killing people and stuff. And it's just fun. It's silly. It has a little bit of Leprechaun feel to it, and like they lean into the cartoon nature of it. And so I enjoyed it. I think it's one that I'm not saying to rush out and see in theaters. I don't even think it is playing in theaters anymore, but I think it's one that when it drops on Tubi or wherever, it's definitely one that I think a lot of horror fans will have fun with. Joe Begret says, I'm at work, so I can't listen in. I can only read the comments for now. Oh, well, I'm trying to get to the comments the best I can. Yeah, I mean, Sinners looks good. It just feels like I feel like we're already going in knowing a lot of what the movie's going to do. Clever Cleaver says, horror comedy, Kanan, ever seen Amigo Undead? No, I haven't seen that. You should create a top 10 horror comedy list that you highly recommend for the future. Yeah, I have that on the list of that type of video I'm going to make. I just can't make those kind very often because they just don't perform nearly as well as the ones where I talk about, like my highly recommended movies that are kind of streaming or in theaters. Those, and those do a little bit better, or the Tubi ones do better. So, and if I like, sometimes the channel will take a big dip. Like I recently did that ocean one, and the channel just nosedive like for a couple weeks, and I had to like, I can't even explain to you how many hours I had to work and how much I had to do to try to make enough content to just barely make enough money to survive last month. Like, it is brutal. But I have the horror comedy list as one that I do plan to make before too long. But I'm working on one right now that'll come out probably Friday or probably Saturday. Yeah, probably this Saturday, maybe Sunday. I don't know. It depends how much work I can get in on it. But it's ecological horror. It's my 10 recommendations for ecological horror movies. And it's a lot of movies that I really love, and some that are ones that I'm sure have seen or heard of, and then there'll be a few I'm sure that you guys might not have seen or heard of, at least some of you. So it's a video I'm looking forward to. I don't know how well it'll perform because, like I said, anytime I do those kind where it's like 10 specific types of horror movies, I don't know why they just don't do as good. It's the algorithm. Like, it seems like the people, you guys enjoy them, but they don't get pushed by the algorithm. Yes, Presty1, if you could please all hit the like button, that always helps out the channel. So thank you. Mr. Halloween 1313 says, have you seen the Hell House series of movies and your thoughts? I couldn't get over the bad acting. Do you like found footage movies? Yes, I really enjoy found footage movies. Like, unfortunately, there's a lot of them that are not good, but there are a lot of ones that I think are just amazing movies as well. So it just depends on the found footage movie. I like the Hell House series. I really like the first one. And then after that, not quite as much. I need to kind of revisit those probably before too long, because some of them I haven't seen since back when they first came out, and I don't remember a lot about them. But I know I rewatched the first one last year, and it still really holds up. It's still a damn good movie. And they're coming out with a new one, I believe. They're working on, I think it comes out in like October of this year. Lynn Farigio says, you are my new go-to for horror movies, or for horror movie viewing. Tongue-tied there for a second. Love your selections and critiques, except for Hell House, but I guess I'm in the minority. Well, not everybody, likes everything. Like, it's different strokes for different folks. Like, I'm someone, because of what I do for a job, I have learned to appreciate and enjoy and love just about every type of horror movie. But sometimes I feel like it gets confusing for a lot of people, thinking that because they disagree with me when I recommend a movie, that means I have bad taste, or that that's like somehow me saying that you have bad taste for not liking that. And that's not the case. My lists are made up of such a variety because the goal is to find something for everybody. That's why they're recommendation lists. They're not what I think are necessarily the best movies ever on that platform or that you could possibly go watch. They're 10 recommendations for that moment to do with that thing, either new ones that are out or movies I find in different places or by subgenre, whatever. Laura Copley says, missed a few of your live chat. I'm so happy to catch you now. Well, I'm glad you were able to catch one. This technically is the podcast, but it is just me, so it's not much different than just regular old live stream. But we do this every single Wednesday, no matter what. Usually it's me and DJ, but this week he had prior obligations, so I told him I would just do it on my own rather than doing it on a different day or whatever. Marcus asked, the ocean video was good. Why did it nosedive? There's something to do with the algorithm. I don't understand exactly why, but for some reason, when I do a specific type, it just sometimes they just don't do great. Like I've had some do really, really good, like my werewolf one. Like I did 2 or 3 of those. I think I did 3 different werewolf ones and they all did really good. I did a couple vampire ones and they did good. But then I did like a found footage one and it did really good. And then I did another found footage one and it did horrible. But then like my zombie one did horrible. Like the vast majority of the specific subgenre ones just don't do as good. And I don't know. It's one of those things, like I'm always testing things and researching things and trying things. And it's like a constant game of me trying to sort things out. So it's like, it's never that I'm not going to do a certain thing anymore. It's just sometimes I have to back off for a little bit, do more of the things that I know have the best chance of working. Like the one video I know is always going to at least do okay are Tubi. Tubi videos never fail. Like they don't always put up monster numbers, but they at least do okay. You know, it's the other one, like my best of the year videos, those are always killer. Those always do the best numbers. But Tubi is like my safe bet sort of thing that I know those are going to at least do decent. And like for a long time, I just was doing pretty much nothing but the Tubi ones, the Hulu ones, the, Prime Video ones, Shudder ones. And I could keep doing that and the channel would be consistent. But it was at a point where I was feeling like there were so many other movies that I wasn't getting to talk about. I wasn't getting to talk about the new releases unless I did an isolated video, like just a one video, just talking about one movie, a regular review video. But then those never get pushed by the algorithm. Nobody sees those. So they seem almost pointless, even though they take a lot of work still to do. And so then it's either that or I just don't talk about new releases. So when I started doing my highly recommended movie series, which I just realized that's last one I did is number 20, I think. The one I put out yesterday, I think it's number 20. But it's not that those always do huge numbers. Like, the one from yesterday it's not doing, it's number 20. It's not doing amazing, but it's doing okay. Those always do at least okay. But more than anything, they make me feel honest because they make me feel like I'm able to just recommend whatever to you guys. It could be a new release on Shudder. It could be, but in the past, if I wanted to talk about a new release on Shudder, I would have to do an entire video on just Shudder. And then a lot of times there'd be a situation where I can't find 10 new ones. And so I'm either just talking about the same movies over and over to you guys with like maybe 1 or 2 new ones, or I don't know. I hopefully that all makes sense, but that's why I started doing these, because now it's like I can just recommend stuff from all different places. Some that are VOD, some that are still in theaters, some that are new, just dropped on Shudder. Like, you name it. If there's a movie I'm thinking about or want to talk about, I can put it on a list. Yeah, I'm with you, CJ. I love ecological horror. Like, it's one of my favorites, and I wish there was more of them. Because, like, when I was putting this list together, I was like, man, I came up with 10, but there wasn't much beyond that. Not, at least not ones that I thought were really, really good. But I'm also sure there's probably some I don't know about, which is the other thing I'm excited about with this video dropping it, is hopefully you guys will have ones that I haven't heard of, because I love that subgenre. Uh, Bleed Back to Life, or Bled Back to Life, says, have you watched Coherence? For a relatively low budget film, it's riveting and mind-bending sci-fi horror with an ending that will floor you. Yep, I've talked about it many times. We even talked about it on the podcast before, because it's one of the movies that me and DJ both agree on. Like, it's one of the best indie, low budget sci-fi horror movies ever made. Like, it's one of those like Benson and Moorhead movies where, like, not that they did that movie, but it's like their movies in the sense that it has these grand ideas and concepts and does a lot, even though they have like almost no budget. And yet you don't think about that at all. Like, in the movie, you're not at all thinking, oh man, I wish they had more budget so they could have done this or that. Like, that's not what they do. Like, they go full into it. So what's up, Vorpal? Vorpal says, greetings, groovy ghoulies. Allison says, evening all. Hello, Allison. And good morning, Dark Star. Yeah, I want to do a new Tubi video here very soon. I need to put together one, but I need to get the time to just sit down and watch a bunch of movies to come up with some new ones that I haven't talked about before. And that's just super time consuming sometimes. Allison says, have you done a best free YouTube movie list? I know it's a bit of a search option to get together. No, it's not that. It's just they don't have a lot of horror. Like, Tubi, if you look, they have some horror movies, but not that many. And the ones they do have are also available on Tubi, Prime, Peacock, like basically everywhere. And the problem with that is they're all movies I've probably talked about many times on other, on other streaming service videos that I've done. So it's, one of those tough situations. Like, I've seen, what's the name of the channel? I forget the name of the channel, but he is big on kind of recommending movies as well. And I'm spaced on the name of his channel. Much, much bigger than me. But he's able to talk about all types of movies. So he's able to do those YouTube ones, but there's just not that many. Like, I've tried, trust me, I've tried a few times. I haven't seen Bondsman yet, but I've heard good things. I've heard it's a fun series, especially I've heard if you liked the Evil Dead series, it's, got a lot of similarities to that in tone. Allison says, expect a little bit of crossover. It's got to be insanely hard to not accidentally talk about movies more than once, especially if it's a movie you love. My rule of thumb is I try not to talk about a movie again for at least a year, unless it's like a new release, or sometimes, if it's one of the, like I just talked about Strange Darling, even though I talked about it a couple times before, but it's one of the biggest releases from last year, and it's finally available on a streaming service. Before, it was only a VOD. So that's why I talked about it again. Or I'll talk about a movie sometimes more than once if it's one of the best of the year. So when I do my best of the year video, I'm going to talk about it, of course, again. But for the most part, I try not to talk about movies more than once a year. And I have everything basically in a cross-referenced like Excel sheet type of thing so that I am able to tell for the most part when I talked about a movie, when the last time was. And it also allows me to have my notes already for that movie, so I don't have to figure out all the notes, like who's stars in it, who's directed by, like that kind of stuff. So, but it's something I continually get better and better at doing, is being organized with this. And then there's some that I just think, there's certain movies that are just so good and they just don't, like Coherence is a perfect example. Like I've probably talked about that at least 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years, like 4 years or whatever. But it's such a good movie and it's so underappreciated. There's just not enough people have seen it. And so it's still one that repeatedly comes up because it just deserves more of an audience. All right. Question from Borpel. Okay. Question. Want to know what movie is your secret guilty pleasure? Okay. I have a thing where I don't believe in a guilty pleasure. Like, I feel like there should not be such a thing. Like, if you like something, then you own that shit, hold it up proudly and be like, I am a fan of this. Like, for instance, people see me and they know, like people that know me know I've been in metal bands. I was a singer of a metal band for years. I still love metal. Metal is one of my favorite things in the entire world, right? But I still listen to Sabrina Carpenter. Sorry. I will listen to Britney Spears sometimes. I'll listen to like Sia and like especially female pop. I like pop in general, but mostly female pop. The guy pop music is generally not as interesting to me, but it's just, about what I'm feeling. And I don't feel any shame or not for that. It's like if I'm not, this is not my thing, but like if I was into wearing women's panties, I'd fucking wear them. And if someone asked, I'd be like, yeah, I wear women's panties. What? Got a problem with it? Like, who cares? Like, I don't understand why people have such a thing as a guilty pleasure for the things that they enjoy if it doesn't hurt anybody else. Like it just, I'm not saying you got to broadcast it to everybody, but it's like one of those, if people ask you, like, if you're a pony, like I forget what it's called, but like the guys that are into the pony thing, the cosplay stuff, like own that shit. Who cares? Like, dude, life is too short, man, to judge the shit out of everybody. And the worst part is we judge ourselves worse than other people. So like, if there's a movie I like, I don't know. I honestly could not tell you a movie because I don't feel guilty for anything that I enjoy. Like, for instance, the movie Biodome. It's a god-awful movie. It is so stupid. And I love that movie. And I don't feel any guilt whatsoever for loving that stupid sense of humor movie. Allison says, fair point. I forgot how many movies cross over. I know there are a lot of odd ones on YouTube. Yeah, but not for horror. Like, because there's two different things when you're talking about movies that are on YouTube. There are the ones that are officially on YouTube that I can come out and make a list and tell you guys, these are movies that YouTube carries in their movie library, right? But then there's some that are pirated. They're put up, even though they're not legally, they shouldn't be up there, but people do different things to the movie and make it pass through. And so they're illegally basically pirating that movie. YouTube doesn't have the rights to have that movie available. There is a lot of public domain movies, like the old black and white ones and stuff. Those are on there as well. But for a place where I can just go and search the movies that YouTube carries, those movies don't count. I can't talk about movies that are pirated, that are illegally on their platform. Whoa, Sydney, Australia. Miss Chris T says, "Hi from Sydney, Australia. Love your content, man. I want so bad to go to Australia someday. I want to travel. Period. I don't even care where. I just need to get out of this city. Like I haven't been out of this city in like I don't know, probably close to a year now. Like I'm going nuts. Like I haven't gone anywhere. All I've done is work, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love this work. Even when I travel, like when I went to Texas, that was my last trip to see Rob Zombie and stuff. Even then, I worked while I was there. Like I love this work. This is just what I do all the time. But it's nice to get out of town sometimes and go and meet people and see things and do things different or whatever. Allison says, for sure, horror is super weird with where it drops time wise. It's like, oh, you got to see this a year ago. Yeah, and that's why I don't try to overdo it, because then I feel like anybody that watches all my videos, I want to give everybody something to watch. And if I repeat movies more than once a year at most, if you watch every one of my videos, it's like I'm kind of cheating you is how I see it in my mind, because instead of 10 different movies, I'm only giving you 9 or 8 or whatever. I don't know. It's just how I see it, and it's the way I keep from being too repetitive. And it also forces me to always keep trying to find new movies. But it comes in waves. There are times when I'm really struggling to watch a lot of movies. Like I can always go to the theaters and watch movies. Like always. If a movie is in a theater, even an old movie, I can go watch it and love it and have, but when I'm at home by myself watching movies on my tablet, because I don't have a TV. Well, I do, but it's not gonna anyway. On my tablet or whatever, sometimes I just cannot watch movies. Like I can't concentrate enough. I get this weird lonely feeling, and I have to do things to keep my brain from running and being a pain in the ass. DJ couldn't make it today, Ralph. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's something to do with his obligations for the stuff he's doing with his movie. He's got a lot going on, and he's trying to put everything together to go to Cannes Film Festival and Paris. And so he's got a lot going on. So Jedi John says, if you're watching a movie for the first time and it's awful, do you force yourself to sit through the whole thing? How many movies have you abandoned halfway through? I don't even wait halfway at this point, unless it's in a theater. If I'm going to see a movie in a theater, I don't walk out. Like, unless there's something that I morally have a problem with or something, which I don't even know what that would be, but unless there's a technical problem, like the last time I walked out of a movie was The Hobbit. I think the second one. And had this weird 3D thing they did for that stupid movie, and I honestly couldn't see it because I can't really use 3D glasses because of the one eye, and it had weird lines and stuff, and it was making me feel like I was going to throw up. It was so rough, and so I walked out of that movie. But I think that's the last time I walked out of a movie. I know I walked out of a movie last year or 2 years ago, something. Forget the name of it, but it was only to get, like, I basically was like, hey, there's an older couple in this theater that is being obnoxious. They're drunk, and I need to watch this movie. And so I just exchanged my ticket for a later time and just watched like 20 minutes later in another theater. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't walk out of the theater, but as far as when I'm scanning movies to look for things to recommend to you guys, I give them 15, 20 minutes, and then I just turn it off and move to the next. Like unfortunately, there's just a lot of, movies that are not quality, and it doesn't mean I don't think they should exist. It doesn't mean I don't think people should still watch them. Like a lot of these really micro indie movies on Tubi and stuff, it's not that I hate them or anything like that. It's just my goal is to find things for you guys to watch. So it's different than if I'm just watching for my own enjoyment. I might watch a really stupid movie and like a bad movie or whatever. But when I'm watching movies simply to find things to recommend to you guys, I can't just sit there and watch a movie that I'm not going to recommend. So as soon as I know it's a movie I'm not going to recommend for whatever reason, then I turn it off and move on to the next. That's why it's such a time consuming thing. Like trying to put together a new Tubi list, because I got to find at least a couple new ones that I haven't talked about ever. And sometimes that can take me a couple days of scanning through like, a dozen or more movies a day to find stuff. So Wolfbane, Heather, talking to someone else. Furries are friends. I'm not sure what that means. Same. I don't feel guilty about any movie I watch. Yeah, you just shouldn't. Bronies. Thank you, Marcus. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Like, I don't personally get it. Like, there's nothing exciting about that. I'm not someone that feels the need to like I don't wear costumes in general, like I don't go to cons and, wear a costume. Although some people think I'm in costume, and I'm like, nah, dude, this is just, if I was going In-N-Out Burger, like those of you guys out there that have met me, which is quite a few, like I run into you guys all the time. They'll all tell you the same thing. Like, I look exactly the same if I am going to get a burger at In-N-Out or going to the grocery store or wherever. I dress the same. Everywhere I go, I always want to put myself together to a certain level, because I work at home and I don't go anywhere and I don't do anything. And so I think it's a good thing for people psychologically to just not bum it, like throw on a pair of sweatpants and whatever. Like, that's fine if you're someone that has to get like for instance, if I had a desk job at an office and every day I had to wear a suit and tie, well, then when I'm at home and on my time off, I'm going to wear just bumming it jeans and a old t-shirt or whatever, or sweatpants, whatever. Right. But when my job, 90% of my life, I'm in a pair of basketball shorts, and I'm just sitting there editing in my house. Like, when I go out, no matter what it is, just to go 5 minutes up the street to the grocery store, I'm going to put myself together somewhat, because that's the only way I'm able to not just feel like a bum, if that makes sense. Anyway, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent. Man, I fucking love Tool. I've been on a Tool kick. I mean, I've always loved Tool. Like, literally, I'm one of the people that heard their very first single when it first dropped on radio. Like, I'm old, but I go through waves. And like right now I'm in another one where I'm just super into Tool right now. Tool, Sleep Token, and Avenged Sevenfold. Those are the three bands that I've been listening to the most right now. I agree with CJ. Guilt is so unhealthy and destroys people. If you're not hurting anyone, cowabunga. Exactly. Like, if you're hurting yourself, like, even for instance, I was a smoker for many, many years and I felt guilt every single day. And I still kept smoking, but I beat myself up and felt like crap about it every single day. And now I look back, I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, I did quit, but it wasn't because of the guilt. The guilt didn't help me at all. It just made me miserable in all the years that I did smoke. And it's like, if you're not hurting other people, like, if you can stop doing something like, eating lots of horrible food or whatever, things are bad for you. If you can stop, well, then stop. But if you're not going to stop, just own it, enjoy it, just be it, Gaston says, last week I watched an eco horror movie called Prophecy from 1979. Is that the one with the bear? I feel like I've seen that. It's the one with the crazy bear, right? Super cool movie. The bear's like this monster. It's a bear, but it's so not like any normal bear. It's one of those movies that was right after the excitement of Jaws. It was like that you had a bunch of these movies that were trying to make their own version of Jaws, like Piranha and stuff. Wolfbane says, dude, don't talk about wearing panties live on YouTube. Love you like a brother, though. I would, man. Like, if that was my thing, I would fucking say it. I don't care. I don't. It'd be hard to find panties that would fit me, though. I'm kind of big guy. I just don't give a fuck, man. Like, life's too short. Like, just fucking quit worrying about stuff. We worry way too much. Worry about what each other is doing that doesn't hurt us, and we worry about what we're doing. It's like we just beat ourselves up, we beat other people up, and worry about shit that just life's too short, man. Worry about the stuff that matters. Let's see. Allison said short horror more than full length YouTube. I guess I watched that more than I thought. I enjoy short horror too. I don't get to watch a ton of it. And the problem with it, like I've thought about making videos on that before as well, but it's really tough because there's so many of them. And so anytime I make a video, I feel like I need to have a good handle on that subgenre, that subject, you know, and I just have watched quite a few, but I don't remember the titles, so to speak, of the shorts that I've seen. It's one of those that I just kind of have on and I'll watch, you know, I'll go to Alter and just like, you know, binge for a couple hours, and I could tell you the names of half of them. Tracy Palma says, I used to know a bunch of bronies. They were just nerdy college guys who like MLP friendship. I'm not sure what that means. And is magic. Not all bronies were creeps like people make them out to be. Exactly. Like, even if they are creeps, dude, who cares? If they're not creeping on you, leave them the fuck alone. Stay away from them. Like, there's a lot of weird people in the world. That's fine. Don't go near the weird people. Marcus says, question, are there any horror movies that you think are overrated? That's so tough because it's like when you've seen a movie so many times, it's easy. Or like, for instance, okay, not that I really think this is overrated, but like The Exorcist, okay, for an example. Like, it is talked about as the greatest horror movies. The Shining is another one. It's talked about over and over and over and over. And when you've lived with these literally your entire life, like ever since I could really start to remember things, I have heard of those movies. And so you don't have the same excitement for those movies. You know, if you've seen them, I mean, I remember first seeing those movies like 30 years ago or more. Like, yeah, like over 30 years ago. And so I don't have excitement for those anymore. And so when you hear this constantly talked about, it's easy to think that those movies are overrated. But it's like, no, they're just not exciting to you anymore because you've lived with them forever. You've seen them multiple times. Like, they're not a big deal to you. But if you're someone that's 13 and watching horror for the first time and sees The Exorcist, that's going to fuck your shit up. Like, you know, I could easily see that person being like, holy crap, have you guys seen The Exorcist? And it's like, well, yeah. So it's all kind of relative. I do love the Friday the 13th movies, but if there is any franchise, I won't say any one particular movie per se, but if there is any franchise that is overrated, it's Friday the 13th. Because I've said this many, many times. I love Jason. He is in my pantheon of greatest killers. I love his look. I have always loved Jason. He has always been, if not my favorite killer, depending on when you're asking me in my life, he's one up. I mean, you know, probably top 5. If I were to make, you know, top 5, Jason's in it for sure. Like, I love him. But the movies are not great. Like, they're just not. If you rewatch them, yeah, you can have fun with them. I'm not saying they're shit movies. I have always have fun with them whenever I've rewatched them. But they're just not great movies. And so if you're talking about iconic killer, then yeah, he's one of the greatest ever. But whenever I hear people talk about the 10 best horror movies of all time, and they put, you know, Friday the 13th, you know, any of them Friday the 13th in their list, I'm just like, man, like doesn't really belong there. Like, yes, it's had a big impact. And yes, Jason is amazing, but it's not one of the best horror movies ever made. So that would probably be my, my best answer. Namey Gardner, I haven't made music in many, many years, but if you want to hear, here, you know what? It's my stream today. So give me 1 second. I'm going to show you guys something. If my computer will cooperate. All right. I am going to show you guys my music video that I did back in the early 2000s. All right. So this is my song, Hands Around Your Neck. Can you guys hear that? You guys hear that? All right, cool. You can hear it. This is my band, Graven Image. We did a lot of touring. Never could quite get a record deal. We almost did a couple times. Same with the band I was in before this, but this was the closest I ever got. We made a music video. It got, our music in general got on the radio a bunch, and this got on different TV things. I don't, Allison. I don't have any CDs. I was just talking to my old guitar player, and I was telling him, dude, we need to digitize some of our stuff and put it online. Because this band especially, I have like nothing. There's like nothing online. The band before this, which is the band that most people seem to have liked more, and it has had the most staying power. Like, I still get recognized as being in that band. It was called Mahala. That band, there are videos of us playing live on YouTube, and there is one location that has like 8 of our songs or something. Personally, this was back in the day when a lot of this stuff didn't exist yet. It wasn't, YouTube, and that was very limited level of YouTube. Or actually, no, there wasn't. I don't even think YouTube was out yet, but there just wasn't a lot of, like you said, we had like MySpace, and a lot of that stuff is up more. Unfortunately, where we had the stuff, it wasn't very good quality, and it is no longer up. But we have a lot of stuff from the band before this. We have it on Reels. So we were talking the other day about digitizing it and putting it up. Yeah, that's what's going. That should be the link to this video. Let me know if that link works. But yeah, so that was Hands Around Your Neck by Graven Image. Yeah, so if that link doesn't work or whatever, you can just type in Graven Image Hands Around Your Neck and you'll see that. And you're welcome to share it, whatever. I don't care. There isn't like a copyright issue really with it, and not any that should matter. And if it does, I'll release it. But yeah, that's what I did before doing art, and then I stopped doing music, and then started doing visual medium art, and then started talking about movies. Here, I'm going to show you guys some of my art because I don't know if you guys have all seen my art either. Since I'm thinking about stuff I've done. Let's see if this works. Man, I hate what a pain Instagram is sometimes. It's really annoying. It's not letting me show my art. Let's see if I could just Google some of it. Yeah, here we go. All right. So this is some of my art. I wish it would let me make it more full screen. But I don't know if you could see it too well. Yeah, I just done a lot of stuff. Yeah, Instagram is just annoying. Like I don't know why it like makes you sign in to do anything and just pisses me off. But yeah, whatever. One of these days on a regular stream, I'll sign in and take the time and so you can actually see my art more close up. Yeah, it's mixed media. Like really there isn't any form of media that I don't mix together. Like photographs, cloth materials, paint, plaster. Like I've mixed, like I very much mix my media. The hands around your neck I'm referring to is not a physical hands around your neck, really. is, which actually have those lyrics tattooed right here. So do my all my sisters. It's the line, and if I cannot walk, I will still crawl and rip you apart. But the hands around your neck are more to do with stifling, feeling like you can't breathe, like anything in life that, like when you feel trapped and you feel like you cannot go on, or you're not being allowed to live, you're not being allowed to explore, or whatever it is in life that's holding you back. In this case, when it was written, it was referring to my mom growing up. And I mean, I was literally locked in my room for a like huge amounts of time, kind of thing. Never allowed to socialize and things like that. So that's when the ideas and the lyrics were written. And then later on, when I was an adult and actually made the song, I expanded on those lyrics and stuff. Doing all the side quests. It's funny how that works, because a lot of these things, they were the main quest, and then they end up becoming, I don't know. Like, I keep wanting to continue to make art or music or whatever, but like I'm one of those people that I just kind of, when one thing doesn't work anymore, I just shift and I kind of just take another path, and I don't look back much. I don't go back and do these things. I'm always looking to learn new things and do new things, and get more experiences and stuff. Um yeah, I mean, I have sold prints, and all my art is available in all sorts of ways. I just don't really promote it right now and stuff, um but yeah, I mean, I could make prints and stuff. And like I said, at some point I do want to go back. I mean, I still have so much art. I have a huge storage unit. I mean, I've sold a lot of art, but I still have so much. I have a huge storage that's just full of art. And like one of these days I want to get back into making art as well as selling it, and but I need to organize it all and start making prints and whatever. Allison says, I love doing that. I basically live like a dragon, but my hoard of choice is crafting art supplies. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I used to hoard a lot, but I don't have much of anything anymore. Like I have such a small area that I keep stuff. Like, and as it is, this room is so packed full of stuff. Thank you, Nanny Gardner. She says, great artwork, Kanan. I can dig it. I am trying to get my man to check out more of the Bay Area's art scene. Man, it is a bummer. Like, we used to have a really, like, when I was still doing art here in Sacramento, like 20, I stopped doing it in 2020. But when, 2019, 18, 17, 16, and so on, we had a thriving art scene here in Sacramento. And then I don't know, man, I tried to go out the last couple months on second Saturday and stuff, and it's drying up. There's just not a lot going on, and it frustrates me. So I'm hoping maybe this summer there'll be more things, but like I really want to be a part of the community in whatever way I can. But yeah, trying to find my place again that I've still never found since 2020. Gaston says, your art is very nice. I guess you like Dadaism, Cubism, and Futurism. Yeah, I am more into and consider myself an abstract expressionist, but I have studied all of that art. Like any form of modern art, I have studied. Um, like just how I am with horror movies now, I was that way with art. And so I was constantly reading about, constantly studying, constantly practicing, for a long, long time. I was that way with music too. I have kind of an obsessive personality. So when I decide I'm going to do this one thing, I go all in. Allison says it's tough when you like a lot of things and also can't do them all because time and energy. Yeah, I don't know. Time and energy is a part of it, but mostly it was just my hands. Like I can't hold a paintbrush. I can't feel my hands. I had multiple surgeries on this hand, and so it's made it very difficult for a long time to make art. And now that I'm able to somewhat close this hand and have some filling in it again, I want to get back into it. But it's like I don't have a studio anymore, a space to make art or a place to show the art. And so that's part of it. I wanted to try to get back in the scene and start learning and figuring out who are the galleries again, like where to show my art and all that. Because if I'm going to make it and I'm going to bust my art out of storage, I need to have a place to sell it and to show it. It's not just selling it, but mostly it's just showing it. But I don't know. The scene for modern art in Sacramento is just not great right now. I would say nice, Eric, but missing the same eye is not a positive, really, I guess. But hey, as long as you rock it, man, and own what you got. If you don't have that eye, own the one that you do have. Horror Sucks says, where's the hot guy with the great movie opinions and advanced media literacy? He had prior obligations tonight. He's got a lot going on right now. He's trying to get his movie ready to show it, like to promote at Cannes and things like that. And he's going to go to the Cannes Film Festival in Paris. So he's just got a ton going on right now. So I don't know exactly why. I just know that he wasn't able to tonight. And Tommy Kiefer donated $5. Thank you so much. That is awesome. I really appreciate that. Every penny really has an impact. Like I'm really, really, really trying to go to Fantastic Fest this summer. And if I don't start making some more money and saving some money, it is not going to be able to happen. So Tommy Kiefer says, check out Naja, a film of a vampire movie produced by David Lynch, shot in black and white. Some of it on Fisher Price camera. That's awesome. It does sound familiar, but I definitely haven't seen that. Nanny Gardner says, we still have First Friday here in Vegas and a lot of great local artists, but not as much support for them recently. Yeah, it's unfortunately ever since 2020, one of the industries that took like one of the biggest hits was art, and it still hasn't really rebounded. I mean, and I get it. It's like bigger things to worry about, so to speak, than, art and money to spend it on than art. Unfortunately, it's, it even is part of the problem theaters are having. People aren't going out to see movies as much. Like people's media consumption and consumption of entertainment has just changed. And you just got to figure out how to adapt to that, new world. So Heather says, yes, why not? Don't you think I'm chat handsome? Oh, he's talking to Heather. I don't know what that was about. Oh, it's DJ. Why are you messaging on your channel? I didn't even realize the name Horror Sucks. Like I always forget that's your channel. Why aren't you just joining the stream if you're gonna comment? Horror Sucks is DJ's YouTube channel. So a lot of our indie galleries have gone under where'd I go? The art district here has gotten super gentrified and rents are too high. It sucks. Yeah, that's a lot of what happened here too. The problem is a lot of that gentrification happened at the same time the pandemic hit. And so it was just all the artists couldn't survive because, like me, for instance, all my art stuff just dried up. Like all my commissions, all my shows, everything got canceled in 2020. So all of a sudden I went from making, enough to live on, not a lot, but still enough to survive, to all of a sudden making nothing. And then on top of that, the prices of everything had just gone up because of a lot of gentrification stuff and just screwed everybody. Oh, okay. DJ said he's driving. Likely excuse. And Laura Copley just donated $19.99, maybe euros or something. Either way, thank you so much. I don't know how much money that is, but I super appreciate it. I don't care if it's $1, but I think it's euros. And so if it's euros, it's even more than American money. Either way, thank you. Mr. Wonderful realized that it was DJ before me. I see. But nobody wanted to mention it. Just wanted me to just keep feeling stupid. All right. Mike Sensei says, I'm in Vegas too. Nani is right. Not the same anymore. It looks almost barren sometimes. Yeah. I'm like it. I don't know, but I've heard it's kind of the same thing in other cities. And then a $5 from Nani Gardner. Thank you so much. And she says, thank you for all the horror bangers. You rock, Kanan. Thank you so much. And then Miss Christie with a $30.99 donation. Love your art. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Mike Sensei, yeah, I also saw a decline after the Midtown project money dried up. Yeah, we had that kind of thing happen here too, because like the government stuff shifted around in California, like right before the pandemic, and then also since the pandemic. And so like just a lot of the money that was being donated towards the arts just wasn't there anymore either. So it's like a combination of a lot of different things. Like here in Sacramento, we had just built this big old new arena right not too long before the pandemic. And so like all these jobs and all these things that were supposed to come in, now all of a sudden these restaurants and all these things didn't open up. A lot of that money wasn't there, and it just turned into a nightmare. But anyway, enough negative talk about all that. GP, I know for a fact DJ can drive and chime in. Well, if he can drive and text, I don't know why he couldn't drive and do just do a live stream with his phone or whatever, as long as we can hear him. I did that before. One time when I was sick, I went out to get lunch, and after I ate, I was like, just got just enough energy, and so I was like, screw it, and just came and jumped in on a stream live. So, but it's all good. I got to wrap this up here anyway, because I still have to eat. Like it's dinner time, and I still got a shower, and then I got a lot of work to do. I spent a considerable amount of time talking to this producer friend of mine from Southern California that hopefully has this cool little fun project for me. Like I can't talk about it yet because I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but if it does, it'll be a fun thing. And then I also got a couple potential sponsors that I'm crossing my fingers those come through, because one of them in particular would be like really awesome. Not only a really cool company that I've been wanting to work with, but a nice payday. Like, not a ton of money, but like better than I usually get. Because when you're not that big of a YouTube channel, the sponsors you get, they're not like huge chunks of money. It's not like thousands of dollars like the big YouTubers get. Like those guys get like 6-figure deals and shit. It's just like in sports, if you're like a single A ball player, which is basically what I am, you barely make enough to eat, but then there's like double A, and then there's triple A, and then there's the big leagues. And then when you're in the big leagues, then there's the big stars. And it's like Mr. Beast is like Shohei Ohtani, the biggest, most highest paid baseball player kind of thing. And I'm this single A guy that just got signed to, a single A deal. So I had enough to barely eat and live on my mom's couch and ride around on the bus. But I'm working my way up to double A. I'll be in double A soon. Hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be in double A. And of course, I'm figuratively speaking because I can't play baseball anymore. Sponsor women's panties for men. If there is a company out there that wants to pay me money and it's ethically something that I am not opposed to, yeah, I'll do it. Like I don't think there is a company that makes panties for men. I don't really know why you would need to, because I think part of the allure for the men is the fact that they're women's panties, but maybe not. I honestly don't know, because it's not a world I really ever dove into. It's not my thing. It's like the foot thing, not into feet. Like, but whatever. Like some dudes are hella into feet, and women. I think more men though than women. No, we're not going to do it tomorrow. This is the podcast for the week. We'll be back, both of us, hopefully next Wednesday. I'll definitely be here. Like there shouldn't be no reason I won't be here again, but I'm not sure if DJ will be here. Like I think he plans to be here next Wednesday. But yeah, there won't be another stream tomorrow, but I do plan to do another solo stream this weekend. So, but this is technically the podcast, just me riding solo. That's why it's on the Death Rattle channel and not just on the Ghost Pirate channel. So, but anyway, yeah. So look for a video this weekend. Go over to DJ's YouTube channel, Horror Sucks. Give him some love over there. If you're not on the Death Rattle podcast, please go over to the Death Rattle podcast channel and subscribe and like and all the fun stuff over there. But that is going to do it for me tonight, guys. I appreciate you all so much for hanging out, for the donations, and just having a good time. You guys always make my day. This is definitely one of the highlights of my week. So, but until next time, you guys all have a great night, and I will talk at you later. Bye.